Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this next IUCN CEM Asia dialogue on tiger. This IUCN CEM dialogue, and this will be focusing on the increasing tiger population in the country and how this is improving eco-restoration and rewilding in the country. Well, the talk is given by Dr. Kaushik Banerjee, and we are so grateful to him to be part of this IUCN CEM dialogue. Dr. Kaushik Banerjee is currently working as a scientist in National Tiger Conservation Authority Tiger Cell for the past 7 years. Before that, he has worked for his PhD in Gir Forest of Gujarat for almost 12 years. And especially he has his focus for his PhD on ecology of Gir lions. While doing his PhD, I should also like to mention he has a long association with Wildlife Institute of India. He joined Wildlife Institute of India in 2005 and has worked in Kuno Wildlife Sanctuary, Madhya Pradesh for also reintroduction of Asiatic lions as a part of his master's dissertation. He is a graduate in zoology from Presidency College, Kolkata, and he is master's in forestry from Forest Research Institute in 2005 with gold medal. And it is such a privilege for all of us that he has kindly consented to be part of this dialogue. And I, as the IUCN CEM Asia Vice Chair, would also like to stress on, because we represent ecosystems, so we also understand there is a huge relevance of these kind of introductions and increasing population on ecosystem processing and also ecosystem structure. So that becomes very important for us as ecosystem and terrestrial ecologists to understand how these increasing populations have their long-term implications and importance on not only species population, conserving the species populations, but also how they are going to improve our ecosystem functions, structure, and also long-term support and well-being for society and community at large. So without wasting much time, I will request Dr. Kaushik and thank again to him and invite him for this talk. Over to you, Dr. Kaushik.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Shalini. It's been a privilege for me to be part of this talk, this dialogue. So without wasting much time, I'll start with my presentation. I'll just share the screen.
It's visible.
It's visible, right? And I'm audible, right?
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah, just a moment. Yeah. So at the outset, I would like to thank IUCN Commission on Ecosystem Management South Asia for giving me this opportunity. So what today I will try is to highlight the role of India's ambitious Project Tiger in the country's conservation governance and protecting the ecosystem and other endangered biodiversity. So to start with, why should we conserve tigers? Is a conservation-dependent species, apex predator, which requires vast habitat to harbor viable populations. And by virtue of this, it serves as an umbrella species for conserving Asia's forest ecosystems, ensuring viable population of other endangered species as well. A tiger is important for our food chain, and it helps maintaining the ecological viability of entire area, habitat, water, and climate security of the region. So like many other cultures in the world, we also have historical human-tiger relationship in India. Tigers are revered as symbol of pride, power, valor, and royalty. It's a charismatic flagship species, ecologically and politically. So where are our tigers? If you look, this is a map of IUCN. So if you look that the species has already lost about 97% of its global historical range. A study showed that in India, there were about 60,000 tigers south of the Gangetic Plains. However, the population got decimated during past 200 years, mostly because of human-driven factors. So, this shows subspecies of tigers. So, there are 9 subspecies of tigers. 3 are already extinct, while some of the existing subspecies are in precarious conditions. This shows change in tiger distribution in India during last 100 years. So on the green patches on the left map, they show extensive tiger distribution during 18th and 19th century, while on the red areas on the right map, they show patchy distribution of tigers recorded during 2022 tiger estimation. Uh, as a part of expansion of human population, development is inevitable. It is very difficult to stop development. This shows nightlight maps of India for 1992 and 2022, which show rapid urbanization. This is very interesting. I draw your attention at the map. It shows 3 layers basically. First, the 150 poorest districts of India. The fact that these are also designated as Schedule 5 areas, which are primarily inhabited by impoverished communities. And the fact that these are also prime tiger habitats. So there is an overlap. There is a spatial overlap of our forest area with Schedule 5 area with the tiger reserves. And this overlapping makes conservation particularly challenging since forests in these areas are under greater strain. Fear forbids use of the forest, but people persist in doing so, often out of sheer need. The country witnessed precipitous decline of tiger numbers till enactment of appropriate legislations, and this was primarily because of game hunting and habitat loss. Challenges were more during independent India. Political priorities were quite different. Shikar companies, they flourished due to international demands. And it was good that noted conservationists like E.P. Gee, Dr. J.C. Daniel, Kailash Shankhala, they highlighted the plight of tigers in the country, and which was also reiterated by the Tiger Task Force report constituted by Government of India. Delhi High Court banned hunting of tigers for 5 years. By 1972, there were only 1,800 tigers left in the country. The first salvo of protection for tigers came up with IUCN General Assembly at Delhi in 1969. This, in fact, marks the modern era of tiger conservation. Wildlife Protection Act was introduced in 1972. Subsequently, Project Tiger was launched in 1973 with declaration of 9 protected areas from different ecoregions of the country as tiger reserves. It won't be an exaggeration to say that Project Tiger was one of the largest species conservation initiatives of its kind in the world ever launched. And tiger was declared as India's national animal at the very same time. Definitely, the project had much required political support from the highest office of the country and was run by some of the visionary forest officials during its initial days. So what were the objectives of Project Tiger? To ensure a viable population of tigers in the country. So as a part of implementing Project Tiger, the first imperative was to understand the number of tigers. So tiger numbers were started monitoring based on pugmark sensors, and this was based on assumptions that every tiger is individually identifiable based on their pugmark characteristics. And we were really happy at that point of time since pugmark sensors during successive years, they were showing, as you can see in this table, they were showing a rise in tiger numbers over the years. However, the method had some limitations. Like uh, it was quite subjective. It was subjective valuation, identification of the tigers based on their pug marks, and also an attempt was made for total count of all tigers in the country, which is likely error prone. It is never possible to count each and every tiger individual in the country by pug mark, particularly in hostile terrains. So by 1998-99, India was celebrating 25 years of Project Tiger, and the endeavor was applauded by almost everyone for stabilizing country's tiger numbers. So while we were basking under the Project Tiger, the crisis emerged. There was a seizure of about 400 kilo of tiger body parts in Delhi, sometimes in mid-1990s. It was probably from 80 to 90 tigers. Local extinction happened from Sariska and Panna tiger reserves, with many other tigers missing from other tiger reserves in early 2000. A Wildlife Institute of India report came up with a shocking estimation of about 1,400 tigers across India. So there was a sharp decline from our uh, our previous estimation based on Pagmak, which was about 3,600 tiger to 1,400 tiger in the country. So Panna Tiger Reserve in central India had already lost all its tigers. The last male, this was actually camera trap by Wildlife Institute of India. It disappeared in 2008. So these local extinctions of tigers, they taught us a lot of lessons. I would like to draw your attention towards this graph. This is from Sariska. So if you can see that the tiger numbers, which were continued to be reported high, even when the sighting frequency by frontline staff on field was almost nil. So we call this paper tigers. So there was lack of institutional mechanism, lack of scientific monitoring, institutional and individual ego, and most important part was poor conviction rate. From 1994 to in between like in 1994 2013, about 1,700 people were accused for tiger poaching, but only 69 were convicted in 25 cases. So this is from Traffic India. This map shows the tiger body pass seizure hotspots, and it shows that India is one of the major hotspots globally. However, we turned this crisis into opportunities. A Tigers task force was constituted by the country's highest office, which submitted its report, Join in the Dots, which is basically, I would say, the gospel of modern day tiger conservation. Wildlife Protection Act was amended to include Tiger Agenda, and two statutory bodies, National Tiger Conservation Authority and Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, were constituted under the enabling provision of the Act. Conversion of Project Tiger into National Tiger Conservation Authority or NTCA was a game changer, and it gave much needed statutory backing to Project Tiger. So, under the guidance of NTCA and with technical backstopping of Wildlife Institute of India, tigers were once released back in Sariska, and a stringent monitoring protocol was implemented. And this event is also very important for in the context of global tiger conservation. So taking cognizance of dire situation facing wild tiger survival, world leaders and conservation practitioners, they met at St. Petersburg, Russia in 2010 to discuss strategies for tiger recovery. This was the first tiger summit attended by the world's heads of the nations. The outcome was a global tiger recovery program which ratified strategies that may be undertaken by the tiger-rich countries singly or jointly to double the tiger population, and the target of 2022 was set for that. Over the time, India was able to enhance the network of its tiger reserves under the ambit of Project Tiger. We started from 9, as I told you, in 1973 to 28 when the crisis struck. which reached up to 53. In fact, yesterday there was a declaration of a new tiger reserve. So currently we are having about 54 tiger reserves in the country. And they cumulatively protect approximately 2.3% of the country's geographical area. So we started with 18,000 square kilometer in 1973, and currently the area under protection under the tiger reserves is approximately 75,000 square kilometer. Understand tiger dynamics, the population viability analysis, it had established that a minimum population of 80 to 100 tigers are required for a population to become viable. So considering the average tiger home range sizes in India, this translates into requirement of approximately 800 to 1,000 square kilometer area as inviolate core, free of human interferences, along with a buffer of approximately 1,000 to 3,000 square kilometer, which can be multiple use landscape. A good source population is very important for colonization of new areas in landscape. So these maps, they are from different all India tiger estimations. These are from Corbett Tiger Reserve in northern India. This you can see the Corbett Tiger Reserve, and these green patches on the eastern part of Corbett. If you can look at that landscape, you see that with the tiger population of Corbett reaching near carrying capacity, the adjoining areas have started being occupied by tigers over increasingly over the years. So in 2006, we had tigers only inside the Corbett. While if you look at the rightmost map, in 2018, the entire landscape has been colonized by tigers. Is actually uh, the result of Corbett being a very good source population in the landscape. However, we acknowledge that average size of protected areas in India are much small, and therefore availability of 800 to 1,000 square kilometer, which we were actually discussing, of core area, sometimes become very difficult. So this is a hypothetical situation you can see. So if you look at the population 1 and population 3, they are self-sustaining because of their sizes of the core areas. They're more than 800 square kilometer. But if you look at the core 2, the population 2, the core 2 is not viable because of its smaller size. So you need corridor connectivity in a metapopulation framework, and this becomes essential for viability of the core population 2. However, metapopulation dynamics is not so easy to maintain given varied land use patterns in intervening tiger landscapes. So every tiger reserve in the country is managed by a site-specific management plan known as Tiger Conservation Plan. So these are actually blueprint for any tiger reserve, and this plan they generally acknowledge need on a core buffer corridor strategy for effective tiger conservation in the country. So you can see the invalid core area and also the multiple use buffer and corridor landscape. So, however, to secure more inviolate space for tiger conservation, NTCA has a program for incentivized voluntary village resettlement from core of the tiger reserves. This is basically a win-win situation for both the communities and wildlife. As you can see, that communities the marginal communities which are actually staying for decades inside the forest, they get better amenities. You can see on the from the left side picture, and access to modern lifestyle, while large inviolate areas, you can see on the right-hand side photo that large inviolate areas can be developed into wildlife habitats. And a lot of monetary investment have been done in this regard by Government of India. With funding assistance from NTCA, tiger reserves in the country, they adopt various management interventions, habitat management interventions to enhance carrying capacity for tigers and their major prey. And these activities predominantly include grassland development, eradication of invasive species, fire mitigation, and management of water resources. So as Dr. Shalini was mentioning, so actually you can see that Project Tiger benefits the ecosystems as well. So this is one video which shows management of invasive species within a tiger reserve and how you can actually see that local communities are also being involved for assisting the tiger reserve management in doing so. We'll discuss more on this later. This is a habitat before the restoration, and this is the same habitat after restoration. So after the removal of the invasive species. Protection is of paramount importance for tiger conservation in India. Each tiger reserve has its own security plan, establishment of patrolling camps at strategic locations, engagement of special protection forces, retired armed forest officials, women protection force, monsoon patrolling for days are some of the major protection measures being followed in the country. Many tiger reserves have their trained dog squads for crime detection and also elephants for patrolling in inhospitable terrains. Use of technologies like real-time monitoring system, we call them EI system, surveillance system, drones, these are all quite common for majority of tiger reserves. Even the frontline staff of our tiger reserves were vigilant during COVID pandemic 19, when most of us were staying at home. On average, approximately 2 lakh kilometer foot patrolling per month was done by frontline staff of our tiger reserves in the country, which is really remarkable. You can actually, this right side map, it shows the patrolling investment made by our frontline staff during COVID pandemic. Security audit protocol have been developed to assist tiger reserve managers in regularly tracking the progress of enforcement efforts. The status assessment, it is being done by independent teams, which are constituted by NTC at regular intervals. It is almost security audits have been done for 25 tiger reserves and ongoing for others. There is an international conservation assured tiger standards. We call it CATS, and this CATS have been implemented for 23 tiger reserves with accreditation. Fire is a major challenge for tiger reserves. Fire incidents are being monitored near real time by a mobile application developed by Forest Survey of India. Firefighting is done by forest rangers with the help of local communities. A fire audit protocol by NTC is already in place for compliance. India is the only country which has been monitoring its tiger population along with co-predators, prey, and their habitat at an interval of every 4 years since 2006. So this was actually mandated by the Tiger Task Force in 2005. 5 cycles have so far been complete. So if you look at this photograph on the right, so data basically comprises of 3 phases, which is ground data, which is being collected by forest departments, that is phase 1. Remote sensing data, which is being processed by Wildlife Institute of India, which is phase 2, and camera trapping, which is phase 3. An analysis is being done at the Tiger Cell of the Wildlife Institute of India in a spatially explicit capture-recapture framework. The tiger population in India is increasing, as we all know, at an annual rate of almost 6%. About 75% of global wild tiger population is found in India. India has already achieved the target of doubling its tiger numbers much before the stipulated deadline of 2022. And this is a remarkable global feat. 2018 cycle of All India Tiger Distribution was acknowledged as the largest camera trap wildlife survey by Guinness Book of World Record. Project Tiger has an umbrella role, has an umbrella concept. It's a flagship program. And under the ambit of Project Tiger, The same exercise of All India Tiger Estimation also enables us to understand the status of other endangered carnivores like leopards and other small cats in the country. So as per 2019 estimation, we had about 12,000, about 13,000 leopards in tiger landscapes of India. That is the minimum leopard population in the country. Definitely sampling was not done, but tigers are not found. And this is also an increase of leopard population since what was estimated in 2014. This database on invasive species of India is also an outcome of ground data, which was collected, the phase one data, which was collected during All India Tiger Estimation. So there's a lot of ecological information being generated under the ambit of conserving tigers in the country, and it has a lot of ecosystem and management implications. We have also used tiger monitoring data for delineating tiger corridors in the country. This is a landscape approach which is essential for land use planning and decision making for determining fates of developmental projects. So this is the central Indian landscape showing various tiger reserves in red. You can see these red patches, these are tiger reserves. So if you look at the interconnectedness of forest, it is looking very impressive. But when we overlay the network of transportation, the road and railway, the situation is really scary. So a lot of fragmentation, you can see. This is the tiger corridor in between Tadoba and Indravati tiger reserves in central India. You can see that loss of forest and impact of fragmentation on the persistence of this corridor over the years. So as I have mentioned that camera trap is being done as phase 3 of All India Tiger Estimation. The tiger photographs recorded on camera traps are being archived as a national repository at NTCA Tiger Cell at Wildlife Institute of India. And we currently have approximately 44,000 photographs of tigers being monitored till 2022. And this information is very crucial, like as you can see on the here, like whenever we get a skin from forest department or from any law enforcement agency, we can actually match the skin with database and identify the poaching hotspot. So this is very much important for detection of crime related to tigers. India is also one of the very few countries which has institutionalized management effectiveness evaluation for tiger reserves using IUCN WCPA framework. 5 cycles have been completed, and you can see that the results are encouraging as a majority of the tiger reserves are performing very good. Economic valuation of 16 tiger reserves were done in collaboration with Indian Institute of Forest Management, Bhopal, to assess value of the ecosystem services tiger reserves provide and their potential role in climate change mitigation. These tiger reserves were evaluated for their tangible economic benefits based on standing crops, carbon sequestration, employment generation, direct profits, and ecosystem services. The results are really encouraging. I can say that for every rupee we spent on conserving tiger in these tiger reserves, we receive a benefit of up to rupees 7,500. So 1 rupee translates into 7,500 rupee from tiger reserve. Tiger reserves are important watersheds for major rivers in the country. Water atlas has been prepared by NTCA to document the blue carbon being absorbed by these tiger reserves. Community participation for tiger conservation is essential as local communities are often engaged for management purposes. Approximately 5.5 million man days of employment is being generated by tiger reserves annually in the country. So you can see, oh, sorry, somehow it's not opening. But you can see that communities help forest departments for patrolling, as we have already seen, for management of habitats, fighting fires, for rescue of tigers, in many other management activities. Forest departments are also, with funding assistance from NTCA, involved in a lot of community development activities under eco-development initiatives. A lot of community welfare activities being done by forest departments. There are income generation activities supported by forest departments, which ensure alternative livelihood generation for the communities staying around tiger reserves, and it actually reduces their dependence on forest resources. Several community awareness programs are actively organized by NTC and state forest departments. NTC also provides a technical handholding to tiger reserve based on science. These include normative guidelines, countrywide tiger estimation, standard operating procedures, a security audit, tiger conservation planning, etc. Welfare activities for frontline staff is also of paramount importance for most of the tiger reserves. I'll show you a couple of videos. This is a school run by Forest Department for staff and local communities in Kanha Tiger Reserve of Madhya Pradesh. And this is one medical dispensary run by Forest Department in Kanha Tiger Reserve of Madhya Pradesh. There are regular training and capacity building activities for frontline staff on several aspects of management, legal aspects, forensic, and other aspects of conservation. These are uh, very uh, actively being pursued by forest department in most of the tiger reserves. Now, this M stripes, which is monitoring system for tigers' intensive protection and ecological status, is a platform where modern technology is used to assess effective patrolling, assess ecological status, and mitigate human-wildlife conflict. So this program has been specially designed for the context of Indian conservation, focusing on tiger landscapes. However, it can be effectively customized for anywhere across the world for any conservation landscape. And currently, we are having dialogues for its implementation in Russia. In fact, the data for all India tiger estimation, which you have seen, is being digitally collected by ecological module of M stripes so as to minimize human errors. The M stripes is instrumental, is operational in all tiger reserves in the country. It was developed almost way back in 2009. It has an algorithm which allows for optimization of patrols in space by identifying the vulnerable areas through analysis of information collected by patrols and ecological evolution. So it is very much helpful for adaptive management. As we have seen that corridors are precarious in the country, and development and wildlife habitats are equally important in the country. So we resort on innovative and pragmatic approaches to maintain that balance. So this is the longest animal under process. It is from Kanha Pench corridor in Madhya Pradesh. It's a small video. Uh, Tiger number, although increasing in India, the increase is not uniform across in all tiger reserves. So many tiger reserves, like as we have seen for Sariska and Panna, many other tiger reserves also they require active management and handholding in terms of pre-augmentation and tiger supplementation. And these programs are currently underway under the initiatives of NTCA and other state forest departments. There is a video of release of tiger in Madhav National Park in the central Indian state of Madhya Pradesh. But majority of tiger reserves, they have mastered the art and craft of rewilding and augmentation of prey and rehabilitation of tigers for human wildlife conflict mitigation. So successful tiger governance model in India during last 50 years, it has been a great learning for us, and this paves way for implementing many other keystone programs such as Project Cheetah in India. So India has a successful transnational initiatives for tiger conservation and other wildlife conservation. It has biological instruments with other bordering tiger reserve countries, understanding of a memorandum with others. It is a signatory to CITES and major conventions. India is a founder member, one of the founder members of Global Tiger Forum, and it reaches out to other tiger range countries for supporting capacity of frontline and handholding for recovery of tigers, prey and habitat. And currently, negotiations are underway with Government of India for uh, uh, recovery of tiger in Cambodia. So definitely, these are all in consonance with the message of One Earth, One Family given by India during its G20 presidency. So some of the glimpses of transnational engagements, some of the glimpses of India's participations at international forums. So funding is a major issue. Major funding for Project Tiger is being done by federal government, and a lot of increase in the financial investment has happened in recent years. However, majority of the tiger reserves, about 46 tiger reserves, they have their own conservation foundations, which has authority of government and flexibility of NGO. So the revenue generated by the tiger reserves in terms of tourism gets plowed back to foundations, which in turn are used for protection and community welfare. And also, a lot of business and corporated houses, they are coming up recently, supporting cause of biodiversity conservation by cash or kind. So in April 2023, we celebrated successful commemoration of 50 years of Project Tiger, and the message given by Honorable Prime Minister on that occasion that we do not believe in conflict between ecology and economy, but give equal importance to coexistence of both, was very clear and strong. Also, the way ahead, India has embarked upon a vision plan for tigers at 2047. So it envisages a paradigm shift in conserving of wild tigers. A centrifugal approach has been adopted. Landscape strategies has been prioritized. Innovative business models has been called, and multidimensional surrogate indicator for biodiversity syncing with CBD goals have been highlighted. So gains at a large institutional tiger agenda. We have already institutionalized tiger agenda. We have codified exclusive and inclusive agenda for tiger and people. We secured ecosystem services for posterity while ensuring climate change adaptation. Best practices have been codified. They have been replicated elsewhere or for other conservation projects in the country, nationally and internationally. And also, you can see that there is resurrection of ecosystem by implementation of Project Tiger. So India has recently launched an international big cat alliance targeting 7 major big cats and their habitats. It's a coalition of 97 big cat range countries, non-range countries, scientific organization, conservation partners, and business groups who are willing to contribute for the cause of big cat conservation. And definitely conservation programs of large cat in India will greatly be benefited by implementation of this program. So I conclude by quoting Honorable Prime Minister, who very aptly said that I strongly believe that tiger conservation or conservation of nature is not a drag on development. Both can happen in a mutually complementary manner. All we need is to reorient our strategy by factoring in the concerns of the tiger in the sectors where tiger conservation is not the goal. This is a difficult task but can be achieved. Tiger conservation is not a choice but an imperative. But the balance is delicate. But I must say that India is fortunate ever to witness political support at the highest level for the conservation. Thank you. And at the end, I acknowledge National Tiger Conservation Authority, Wildlife Institute of India, and Tiger Reserves of the country, and also IUCN CEM for giving me this opportunity to share my talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kaushik. I think I must, first of all, thank you and congratulate you for this very detailed and very comprehensive presentation on the tiger, like how tiger conservation historically has evolved in the country, and how it has touched not only conservation but has also touched restoration, protected area management, and also livelihood diversification in the country. I would touch a little few points that you have highlighted, because this is what we were looking for. You highlighted how rewilding has happened in the country in last all these decades, and then how community livelihood improvement programs have also originated and have supported at large watershed management. It also means conservation of water, ensuring water protection in larger areas. And then, of course, this also helped in mapping invasive species in the country. And as just recently, Intergovernmental Panel on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services have launched that invasive species report that highlights that India is the second most sufferer of invasive species. So I think this indirect approach that across this tiger protection has helped mapping invasive species and what kind of implication it has for species conservation is very crucial, and it's really an appreciated step. Then you also highlighted that how carbon stocks have been assessed in all these protected areas. And of course, now with more tiger and this large cat alliance that has just been initiated will be a further new step supporting this entire approach. I'm sure the audience that are with us have a lot of questions, but before we go ahead with the questions, I have just two concerns that I would like to highlight here, and you could just consider responding to them based on what we have observed. First thing was about leopard population increase across the country, and you know how there are a large number of leopards. Even if you see per square kilometer, the density is increasing, and then leopard human conflicts are also rising in many parts of the country. So how do you see this important concern? And then also recently there were more tiger movements happening in high altitude areas. So do we see it as a movement for adapting to some kind of changes in terms of development or in terms of changing climatic conditions? How do you see it? So I have these two questions, and after you have some responses to that, I will move to the questions that are raised by the participants of this talk.
Yeah, so coming to your first question, so leopard, yeah, definitely we agree that we admit that leopard is a serious issue, serious. Okay, sorry. Yeah, leopard is a human leopard confrontation is a serious concern for the country for the conservation of leopard. A lot of conflict is happening in northern part of West Bengal in the tea gardens in Maharashtra, in Junnar, uh, and also in many parts of southern India. But I think as if you look at the standard operating procedures of NTCA, so we have very specific guidelines, and also there is a guideline by Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change on how to address these human leopard conflicts. Like it's basically it's a general document on conflict, but it uh, also addresses the human leopard confrontation issues, and also state forest departments, like most of the state forest departments, they have their own compensation scheme, awareness programs, which I think I won't say that uh, that uh, but it takes it actually it takes into account of most of the problems very effectively. But yeah, I agree that problems still exist, and it has to be tackled very pragmatically on the basis of local field situation. Uh, but I think at the policy level we have that sort of backup. And coming to your, so what was the second question?
That was about the recent movement. I mean, when you observe these tigers at high
Yes,
altitude
so we
area.
have yes, global, yes. So as you have seen that I have shown in one of the slides that Corbett Tiger Reserve is reaching its biological carrying capacity in terms of tiger numbers. So a lot of tiger movement is happening in the areas adjacent to Corbett. In fact, in 2022 All India Tiger Estimation, we recorded tigers from Dehradun Forest Division, which is the westernmost. At present, it is the westernmost distribution of tigers in the Himalayas. And because of successful tiger conservation in these tiger reserves in the Shivalik landscape, a lot of tiger movement is happening in the high altitude areas. But also, there is a project ongoing by Global Tiger Forum in collaboration with Government of Nepal, Government of Bhutan, and also Wildlife Institute of India. And it was also backed by National Tiger Conservation Authority. So they are monitoring these high altitude tigers. The first phase of the project was already over, and they have actually identified the contours of conservation needed for these high altitude tigers. And probably they will be initiating with the second phase of the project of monitoring these high altitude tigers very soon.
Thank you, Kaushik. And I now move to some of the questions that are raised by the participants of this talk. So I'll take the first question that is by Dr. Murali Krishna. And Murali wants to ask about, he wants to request you to elaborate a little bit more on the transboundary tiger conservation approach in eastern borders of the country.
Yeah, eastern border. If you look at the eastern border, particularly the Myanmar and Bangladesh, so we have a memorandum of understanding with Bangladesh as well as with Myanmar. This transboundary memorandum of understanding is there. Lot of like combined, like joint patrolling is happening in the Sundarbans part of West Bengal. Uh, if you look at the Sundarban landscape of West Bengal and Bangladesh, so the population in Sundarban is almost stable. In fact, it has reached near carrying capacity. So, and the only hope for the Sundarban tigers, since they are very much, uniquely adapted. They cannot move towards inland. So the only scope for the survival of Sundarban tigers will be if they get a chance to migrate towards Bangladesh. But then there is a recent publication uh, which also depicts about the alarming situation of uh, poaching and wildlife-related crime from Bangladesh. But joint collaborations are underway. In fact, during 2018 and 2014, the All India tiger estimation was actually this in 2014 and 2018. The All India tiger estimations, they were done in collaboration with Bangladesh. So there was a joint report which were released so that we can we can understand the situation better. Myanmar is very precarious condition, and also the northeast part. We have lost tigers from Mizoram. There was no tiger evidence during last cycle of All India tiger estimation. Arunachal doing well, but in patches, we really don't have idea about Namdapa and Kamlang, and also they must be having very low density of tigers. But also we have this Global Tiger Forum. They are actually doing a lot of handholding in terms of capacity building and staff training and protection, improvement of protection with these countries.
Thank you, Kaushik. I think what you stressed on, especially for eastern borders of the country, especially the condition of Myanmar, that's very precarious, not only in terms of the declining population of wildlife, but also recently IUCN and CEM came up with a report that ecosystems are also red listed and they're also threatened in these areas. Many of them are already endangered. So that shows that
Yes, see, problem is sorry to interrupt. Problem is they have forests, they have good forest, good habitat, but they're all empty forest syndrome.
Yeah.
So that is a major problem because of whatever might be the reason. So definitely traditional lifestyle is one of the communities, is one of the major reasons contributing for this. But empty forest is very difficult to restore unless you have a political willingness to do that.
Yeah. Thank you. That really makes a lot of sense.
I would also like to add one point in this regard. If you look at the don't go for this eastern states. If you look at the uh, east central India, like tigers in Chhattisgarh, Orissa, and Jharkhand, they're also we have very good forest, but all empty forest. And if you look at the tiger numbers, if you look at the recent decline, if you look at the recent FSI report, it is saying that forest is declining in these areas, and also we have seen that decline of medium-sized prey, which is cheetal and sambar, which is major prey for tigers in these areas. So, and if you look at the condition of tigers in Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, and Orissa, it's very precarious, is very scary and alarming. In fact, the only tiger reserve in Jharkhand, Palamur, they don't have a tiger.
That raises a lot of question on how things are shaping up in these states, and also to a lot of developmental activities are ongoing. My experience for last 1 decade that has been in these forest areas. I mean, initially it was like when I used to work in these forest areas, I couldn't see much of biodiversity, not only, I mean, in terms of large carnivores, but also in terms of smaller mammals or birds. So thank you for bringing that concrete, I mean, concern and raising the concern that how this is actually, and many of us were not aware of this empty forest syndrome that is actually existing, and that is the reason behind less observations of wildlife in these areas. And with this, thank you so much. I move to the another couple of questions, I think 2-3 questions that are raised here. One of the important question that is raised by Divya Somand, and she is participating in this webinar from Kerala, and she highlights that in Wayanad of Kerala, there are almost 84 tigers as of 2023. This is a high number considering the home range of the tigers, considering a scenario when there are increasing incidences and attacks of tiger within the human settlement. How can we sensitize people and justify our conservation for tigers in a similar region?
Yeah, so Wayanad is one of the I would say non-tiger reserve which is having more tiger than many of India's tiger reserves. So it has really high number of tigers being supported by Wayanad. Uh, uh, I think conflict is happening. So if you look at the landscape, if you look at this this Western Ghats landscape of of Karnataka, Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. Like you have that bordering Mudumalai, Bandipur, Wayanad, and also Satyamangalam, Bilgiri Rangarajan, BRT Temple, Tiger Hills. So this is the largest population of tigers and elephants in the world. So it supports almost 900 tigers. This single chunk of population, the single chunk of forest, it supports almost 900 tigers. So definitely challenges are there, but as I have told before that uh, there are a lot of pragmatic approaches being followed by, and in fact I would say government of Kerala is the initiatives taken by government of Kerala is really appreciable. In fact, they conduct their own tiger estimation every year. So they have a very good, I would say, biological, like biologists in the foundations. In fact, Periyar foundations and Paramikulam foundations are they're really good, and they're backed by science. So they do their own tiger monitoring, and I think the strategies can be developed based on continuous monitoring of population in these areas.
So I think sensitization plays a very big role in all this, and that's where I think when tiger population or tiger numbers increase, it will be up to also humans living closer to these and how they are sharing these habitats, what we call as uh, coexistence. So this coexistence,
Coexistence.
yeah, this coexistence will require a lot of sensitization, especially at uh, communities who are poverty ridden, marginalized. They will require a lot of that sensitization, especially income diversification and livelihood support, so that these kind of conflicts and animal killings can be reduced. There was this important another question, and this is from one of our members who is from West Bengal. And she writes that in 2018, a tiger was killed by locals in Lalgarh, West Midnapur, Bengal, for straying. There were many speculations regarding the causes of straying and its source population. How can such incidents be avoided in future? How can the locals be sensitized about coexisting with tigers if they are not acclimatized with the presence of tigers in the forest?
Yes, this is a very important question. It's not only for tigers, but for any large carnivore or large herbivore per se. Like, see, like when communities they don't have memorable history of living with any large carnivore or species like elephants or gore, the conflict is inevitable. But as we have been discussing since last 5 to 10 minutes, that sensitization, community awareness, diversification of livelihood, this play a very long way in I won't say harmonious coexistence. I won't even say coexistence, but I would say cohabitation with this species. Probably the degree, the extent of cohabitation, cohabiting with this species, human wildlife cohabiting, might vary from state to state, from different areas to areas, landscapes to landscapes. But then there are definitely the role of sensitization and awareness, alternative livelihood, depending so that their dependence on forest resources are minimized, cannot be overemphasized. And also in this particular part of West Bengal, and as I was saying that in uh, central in Chota Nagpur Plateau mostly, we have this traditional system of akhand shikar, which we call
Yeah.
like hunting. So there are a lot of instances from African scenario, like where Masais they used to hunt lions, but then local government in Tanzania, in Kenya, they came up with certain very very innovative, very pragmatic approaches, so that lions are also the problematic lions are removed, and also the social fabrics of Masais are maintained. So Masais were actually allowed to hunt those lions which actually uh, predate on livestock. So by this way, they were maintaining the balance between the society as well as the wildlife. So the traditional beliefs of Maasais were also maintained, and as well as the lands which are problematic were removed from the system. So the problem is global, but the solution is very local, very site specific. So definitely that has to be prioritized by local administration.
I'm sure, Kaushik, you might have heard about this nature-based solutions concept that emerged from IUCN CEM, and it's about solving the societal challenges. So I was reading one of the recent case study that is being developed, and it's about how nature-based solutions can be used and approach as an approach to solve human-wildlife conflicts. So I'm sure this will be very interesting in coming days, and you would like to see this report on how nature-based solutions are used actually to solve human-wildlife conflicts. Because some way, this recent report of sustainable use of wild species also highlighted the non-extractive uses of wildlife. So when I say non-extractive uses, how we enjoy wildlife, how we go for safari in these protected areas, somewhere more many of us have this concern of increasing number of vehicles entering these protected areas every day, maybe compromising the behavioral requirements, breeding or feeding requirements of these animals. So do you have any comment on these increasing number? I'm sure this is definitely solving local communities, their livelihood options, economic benefits, but how do they compromise when tiger populations are increasing and these number of gypsies are also increasing? How are they compromising to the requirements of the animal, and also no sustainable use of non-extractive uses of wildlife?
See, what I say that you are very true, you are very absolutely correct. But then there are certain guidelines by NTCA which actually inhibits. There is a prohibition of unlimited use of gypsies for tourism purposes. So we have a normative guideline which actually restricts, which actually identifies the carrying capacity, the tourism carrying capacity for any tiger reserve. So it based on various local conditions and based on so this is again taken from a FAO formula, and based on that we actually come up with number of gypsies which can be permitted within core or within buffer zone of any tiger reserve. Uh, and also, this is being very stringently monitored by NTCA, and also these are part of the tiger conservation plan, because there is an ecotourism chapter in the tiger conservation plan for every tiger reserve. And once you have these things enlisted within your tiger conservation plan, there is very little uh, chance that you can modify them in the future. But definitely the concerns which you have raised is there, but then also we have the regulating mechanism for that.
Thank you, Kaushik, for staying so long. But just last two questions that I'll club in one. The question is one from one of our members from UP, and she asked that the changing lifestyle of forest fringe communities with other associated development have are there any implications on the tiger behavior and population? This is one question. And the other, quickly, I'll just add to this, how tiger can play a role in promotion of bioeconomy in the country.
Right. So coming to the first question, definitely like I would just say I would just say cite one example, like since this question is from UP, so there is a Pilibhit tiger reserve, and so inside near Pilibhit there is an area called Amaria. So since people like the communities living in these areas, they have they have changed the land use patterns. So the cropping pattern have been changed into more cash crops during recent years, a lot of sugar canes. And in Amaria, there is a resident population of about 12 to 15 tigers, which are permanently resident in this sugarcane. So they actually we call them sugarcane tigers. So this sort of behavioral modifications, adaptations can be recorded, can be observed for not only for tigers, but for any wildlife per se at local scale by human modification of landscape. And regarding the last thing, I really don't have any much to say about that. I really don't have much knowledge and much idea about how tiger conservation can be helpful in bioeconomy.
Thank you, Kaushik. Thank you for staying so long and patiently answering to all the questions. Many of them were very random questions. Some of them were very important with the context that how tiger population that is increasing in the country can affect not only society, communities, but also largely the ecosystem. And our future landscapes will be very much governed with this rising population of the top predator in the forest and protected areas of the country. So while I place my gratitude for your acceptance to this talk, I would now invite our South Asia Regional Chair, Dr. Dippu Sevadas, to place the formal vote of thanks for this event.
Thank you, Dr. Shalini. Thank you, Dr. Kaushik, for this informative session. You had given us insights into the success of the Project Tiger, challenges on the conservation path, opportunities which are provided by the tiger conservation, and how it's helping in a landscape level management of the forest area, and also on the tiger dynamics. Just to add to what you had said, and from a recent report which has appeared as a natural publication, it has shown that compared to the 117 untreated protected areas, 45 tiger reserves in India during the period of 2007 to 2020 has shown a significant reduction in the loss of the forest areas and has contributed very much to the reduction in the carbon emission. So it actually works. The Project Tiger is actually working and is contributing to the global efforts, not only in the conservation of a species, but also to the larger goal of actions like carbon emission reduction and all. I would like to thank all the participants who have been participated throughout this section. I could see that half of them were young professionals from the CEM network. I hope they had a good learning experience regarding the Project Tiger of India. And on this occasion, I would like to place our sincere thanks to Dr. Angela Andrade, Global Chair of IUCN CEM, for permitting us to discuss this topic as part of the CEM dialogue, and also to Mariana, who has supported us in setting up this Zoom meeting. Thank you all who have joined for this session. Thank you, Dr. Kaushik.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Goodbye from here.
Yeah, thank you. Good night. Bye.